Hi, I'm Annie Botticelli, and this is the Storyteller Forecast for Pisces for October 2017. Go to my website, anniehelpsyou.com, where you can see more about my Shine Your Brilliance Vocational University, where I can assist you in creating a new vocation that you will love if you're in resonance with my courses. So what's going on in the month of October? I am calling the theme of this month for Pisces, the dance of we. I alluded to this movement towards the energy of relationships last month when I mentioned that the early degree placements would start to have some planets moving into the 7th house, which is the house of relationships. There are two houses of one-to-one relationship, and that's the 7th and the 8th houses. So the 7th house has to do with, and this is where all of you early, middle, and late degree placements have a very strong showing this month, has to do with the relationship itself. So a person and them connecting. The 8th house has to do with a person and all of their stuff, all of their money and all of their assets and all of their debt, merging with another person and all of their resources, and it's also moving into more intimacy, deeper intimacy and deeper involvement in shared resources. So it's like an evolution of this dance of we. Both of these houses are being aspected for you. So in the short term, you've got this energy in the 7th house. And so the best ways to use this energy are to find win-wins to the things that you are having trouble with. It's going to highlight interactions with you and other people. And that's for better or worse. So either you're going to have that person who's being so annoying, like the neighbor who's calling on your yard or something that you're doing at your house, or a boss or a coworker, someone that's being annoying, and you have to resolve something with them, or someone's coming in as a powerful player to merge with you so that you can collaborate with them and work on a project together. One of the best energies for moving forward with a project with someone else is energy moving through the 7th house, and you pretty much have all of it. You have the Sun, Mercury, Mars, Venus. So you early degree placements have all of those planets there, starting right from the beginning of the month. And middle degree placements, that's pretty much true too. You later degree placements, you'll have Venus and Mars take a little longer to get there, but later in the month, they'll get there and join the party too. So almost all the aspects of your personality, your Sun, what you want, Mercury, how you communicate, Mars, how you use your energy, Venus, how you love, how you want to be loved, how you are with money, how you feel about yourself. All of this energy is put into the power of relationship this time. So any chance that you can get to not be alone in something, this would be really good to capitalize on this. And not, sometimes I think the word capitalize might have some negative connotations. I mean to synergize with other people. And in cases where there are conflicts, really do what you can to see the other person's side. This is a spiritual principle that people who are seeking really can't get around for too long. There's only so far we can go with our spiritual development if we still want to maintain someone else being wrong. There are certain things that many people can agree with are just wrong and blah, 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 whatever. But that's not getting us anywhere, So if you can try to understand how someone else is feeling, try to hear how they're feeling, then sometimes that opens the door to someone hearing how you are feeling. And if you need a little assistance with this, and this is a huge problem for humanity because worked into the semantics, the general semantics is the study of language and how words and how we use words, how those words affects the nervous system. And they do affect the nervous system in big ways and set all these chain reactions, in place, and it all has to do with how we say things. So this semantics changes everything. So if you are still saying things the same way and you're not getting anywhere, is there any wonder? If you say something a certain way, someone takes something a certain way, they're going to act a certain way, you keep the dynamic in place. But what if you did something different? What if you approached a situation with love, or compassion and understanding instead of leading with your defensive foot forward? And actually, I talk about in the general transit report, which follows, these videos are 2 parts rolled into one video. I start out with the individual sign, and this works for you whether you're a Pisces rising or a Pisces sun. Also, people watch if they've got a Pisces moon, from the moon perspective. So that's the first part of the video. The second part of the video is the general transits that affect everyone, but you don't want to skip over that part because there's a massive amount of important things to know that I include in that section that I don't talk about in this section. But if you do watch more than one of my videos, like you watch for your rising sign and watch for your sun sign, you will notice that the end parts are the same because the general transits are the same. But in any case, this study of general semantics, you can really get somewhere if you start to change how you're saying things. So there's a book called Nonviolent Communication by Marshall Rosenberg. And that is, if you choose to accept it, my suggestion for homework for you at this time to make the most use of these transits, because this energy of partnership is a theme that's going to continue for a few months. You'll hear me talking about this next month as well as the planets start to move into Scorpio and your 8th house as well. And also because Jupiter is moving into Scorpio, which we'll talk about in the general transits. But for you all, this Jupiter has been in your 8th house of Scorpio for a while. So the themes that I'm going to talk about that are starting for everybody, you've already been working with them. If you're an early or middle degree placement, you've already been working with them. And your later degree placements, you're going to have that happen soon too, because Jupiter is still very much in the Libra energy and the 7th house energy for you at this time, but it will move there quickly and you'll feel it towards the end of the year getting stronger with the energy of Jupiter and Scorpio, which I go into at length in the general transit part. But like I said, you've had a sneak peek about this energy because we look at planets moving through signs to see possible manifestations, and we look at planets moving through houses to see possible manifestations. So the planets in a sign are the same for everybody. A planet is only in one sign at a time. It's there, it's doing its thing. Everybody feels that. But the houses shift depending on your sun sign, your rising sign, your moon sign, whatever you're looking at the perspective through. And it shifts depending on the degree. That's why I talk about early, middle, and late degree placements. Early degree placements were born in the first 10 days of the sign or have 0 to 9 degrees as your rising sign or moon sign. 10 to 19 degrees, that's your middle degree placements, and then 20 to 29 degrees, because there are 30 degrees in a sign, so you essentially break it down into 3 parts. The charts look different depending on what day you were born or what degree you have. That's why I make some of these distinctions sometimes, because the chart does actually look a little different sometimes. So those are the things that are most on my mind for Libra. So hopefully you can see which ways you can benefit others and others can benefit you through really working hard to seek out people to work with. Now, this also is true for people, like things that you need help for. Like, let's say you need a perfect accountant, or you need a perfect emotional helper, a support person, you need an assistant, you need any kind of practitioner to help you. This energy makes it much more accessible, and you're more likely, it's lit up very well. So the odds of you finding a perfect person, especially if you're intending that, are very high. And it's also really great for finding a perfect person romantically, because the 7th house is the house of relationships. And we're in a period of time where there are no personal planets retrograde. So anyone you meet now or get together with now or move forward with now, there's no personal planet retrograde confusion present. So this is a really amazing month if you've been wanting to get on to some e-dating services or something like that. This month is amazing for that. Or if you've been wanting to go out with someone who your friends are trying to set you up with, this is a really good time for that too. Just follow your intuition in the flow, but it's definitely all about relationships. Okay, so now I want to talk about very extensively some of the individual transits, what dates those are occurring, what you might see with those things. I want to talk about Jupiter moving into Scorpio and things to understand about that. And the luckiest day of the year is going to be this month. So let's get into more of those details now. So I'm calling the theme of the month for all signs, Purge and Merge. And this is from the short term and actually now introduction to this long term energy in Scorpio that is being brought in as a theme. We've got personal planets which move more quickly and talk about the energy over a number of weeks, moving into the sign of Scorpio. But we also have Jupiter changing signs into the sign of Scorpio, and it will be there for a year. So, do you ever notice that when you clear out a shelf, before you know it, the shelf is full again? You know, this is just an example of how energy moves. Space wants to be filled. So the best way to usher change or new things in is to make space for those things. And so this energy this month is very much about releasing so that you can make room for more things to come in. And there will be a strong theme, a Scorpio-based theme about what those things are that will be coming in. So we're talking about purging items and beliefs and dynamics, anything clutter, anything that is no longer serving you. If you have a way of looking at something that is limiting you, then we're talking about letting go of that idea or that way of seeing things. You know, this is a very all-encompassing release and letting go. So some themes that are going to be present this month as the general transit story for everyone, but again will be present as this kind of constant long-term theme for around a year, also has to do with anything Scorpio based, basically. So psychology, astrology is in there from the psychological perspective of astrology. Any esoteric or occult studies, you know, so basically exploring the riches, the lesser seen realms. That's the energy of Scorpio, the things that are lesser seen, intangible things. The topic of other people's money is a big one. So anything involving loans, debt, credit, capital funding, inheritances, marital money, parents' money, inheritances, I said that one already. Anything having to do basically where resources that come to you from somewhere else. So investments, anything kind of hard to, stocks are really, they're intangible. And that's what places them in this realm, and loans and money that's somewhere present on paper, but it's hard to track where the money actually is. That's the 8th house dominion. So sweepstakes, lottos, lotto winnings, anything like that, financial support or assistance of any kind, empowering others or being empowered yourself in any way, the process of self-empowerment, the journey of self-empowerment, research, investigation, intimacy, sex, power, birth, death, rebirth, like the phoenix rising from the ashes is basically this energy of Scorpio. So these are the themes that are really dominating the energy now, and they will be for a while to come. So now I want to talk about a couple of other noteworthy things before I get into some of the individual transits. Remember that we are still in this last window of the year for launching things, pushing things forward. Towards the end of September, we started this open window free from personal planets being retrograde, and that continues until November 15th. So all of October is in this open window if you're trying to make a big decision, if you're trying to push something forward, if you want to move, sign a lease, sign a contract, there are lots of open energies where communication is flowing more freely because of not, being in detriment from the retrograde. So take as much action as you feel drawn to, don't make yourself too crazy over it. This open window time is a time to push a little bit. It's time to push, but you always have to honor your own intuition with that, because sometimes it happens so often. I can't tell you how often I see this happen with people that I work with and myself. If I think I should be doing something, or you think you should be doing something, and then you're not, and then time passes and something happens and you're like, oh gosh, I'm really glad I didn't do that thing, It's because that was intuition holding you back. You might have thought it was fear, you might have thought you were being lazy, but the more you tune into your intuition, you can tell the difference between something energetically telling you to wait and some sort of issue within yourself that you have to overcome to be able to move forward. You know, it's a very tricky dance to try to figure out when you're supposed to push a little harder to get through something and when you are supposed to be honoring the things that seem to be saying hold off. But in any case, you'll have a lot of opportunity to push through limitations and do certain things anyway, you know, work a little bit harder during this open window. And then you can have lots of notable outcomes in the months and even beyond that to come. This is the last window before well, I guess it's the second to last window before this big wall of retrogrades that we have next year. Next year, most of the year is spent in a personal planet retrograde, and usually more than one personal planet being retrograde at once. We've got the Mercury retrograde cycles, we have a Venus retrograde cycle, and we have a Mars retrograde cycle. So a little bit into January through the beginning of March is our only really open window all of 2018 without a personal planet being retrograde. So for launches, pushing things forward, there's a little space there somewhere around the beginning of May. I think I have to go back and check that, but I know that there's a little very small window somewhere else if you have to push a couple of things in later on into the year. But otherwise, the whole thing is dominated by retrogrades. So if you're going to launch a website, launch a YouTube channel, launch a book, you know, start a business, officially get, you know, documents that LLC or whatever you're going to do, something official. You want to try, if you're intuitively led this way, to get these kind of things done in this window or in the window that's early in 2018. So hopefully you can find your balance between what you have to push through and what Spirit might be telling you to hold off on. So we do also have one of the luckiest days of the year this month, which is around October 26th. The actual transit of the Sun joining with Jupiter happens on the 26th. Sometimes you feel that energy the day before, sometimes you feel that energy the day after, but it's just very lucky and very wonderful and very well lit up. I remember last time this happened, last year, I was expecting it on the day, you know, that the transit was happening, but the day before was when it hit for me, and it was just like, whoa, this is so Jupiter Sun, you know. So just follow the flow, because we give you these dates as guidelines, but the energies, the manifestations from transits can happen before or after the actual transit. So you have to be feeling into them. And a lot of times there are transits going on at the same time. So like a really good transit could be happening right at the same time as a challenging one. So you have to really tune in to make sure things are flowing for you personally and not just base your decisions on a date per se. You know, it's a very individual process because our charts are very complex, and general horoscopes can't speak to all of the other things that are going on in your chart. Only you can feel that. Okay, so let's talk about some of these other aspects. We start out the month with a really beautiful aspect, Mars trining Pluto. So this is the second and last time that this aspect will occur. It occurred before on April 6th. So it can bring courage and confidence and determination. So if you need some oomph to push something through, then the energy around this time could be helpful with that. And you might feel that even towards the end of September, a few days before the October 1st or a few days after. On October 3rd, we have the follow-up here, which is Venus making a trine to Pluto. And this is all happening in Earth energy, because Mars in Virgo and then Venus in Virgo are making the trine to Pluto in Capricorn. So this is very grounded, this is very stable, this is very practical. And there are lots of things that you can do with that energy. So Venus rules love, beauty, money. Mars rules, your energy, how you use it. And by the way, I am giving you some details about some of the transits that I see most notable for this month. But if you'd like a written version of the general transits, then definitely sign up for my free email newsletter at anniehelpsyou.com. I send out a monthly newsletter like clockwork. If you have signed up for my email and you're not getting the emails, you need to contact me because there's something up. They could be going to spam or promotions or events folders or something like that, because I send it out every month, a month early. So I'll be sending out this October one to my list in the beginning of September, so that you have a visual version of the general transits, because sometimes it's easier to process that way and to keep track and to make your plans. Okay, so on October 5th, we have a full moon at almost 13 degrees of Aries. Full moons bring fullness and completion, and sometimes drama, and sometimes things coming to fruition in a magical way. You know, it's a welling up. I always think of it as a dog shaking off water, because water represents emotion, you know, and that's what we do at the full moon, is just like a shaking off of all this emotional buildup in our fields. You might notice if you spend a moon cycle connecting with the earth, like putting your bare feet and hands in the earth, even laying on the earth, and doing emotional clearing exercises, that the energy buildup at the full moon might be a little bit more manageable for you. If you happen to be overwhelmed with the emotions of the full moon, then you can experiment with trying to discharge energy from your field for the cycle before and see what your personal rhythm is. But the fullness, completion, fruition, possibly drama comes in the sector of individuality and self-image. So this can bring a lot of attention to you. You know, this can mean a lot of people are looking at you. It could also mean that you weren't looking at something within yourself that you have to. Sometimes there is a symptom or a health ailment that you've been ignoring, and sometimes the full moon in Aries will bring it up, bring it to fruition. You know. Speaking of which, I wanted to mention earlier. I want to make sure to mention now, is the state of our adrenals very much is related to how we experience astrological transits, because our adrenals rule a lot of different things. It's very complex, the amount of physiological things that are connected to the adrenal glands. But when we're running on overtime, stressed all the time, our adrenals get burnt out. And people joke about this and say, oh, my adrenals are shot, and they go on with their lives. Well, if you hear any message from this video, I hope it's take your adrenal state more seriously than any astrological forecast, because how you tolerate stress, how you make decisions, how you hold anger, how you respond, how you tune into your heart messages and your intuition is all going to be connected to the state of your adrenals in many cases. So when the transits come and exert pressure on you, if you're already super stressed and your body is just overwhelmed because you're not babying your adrenals, then you're going to have more of a challenging experience processing challenging things that come. It's harder to handle things gracefully when your adrenals are stressed. So you've got to check in with your doctor and yourself and your own research to see what the best way is to balance and be nice to your adrenals, but definitely feel into it because things like this can supersede some astrological things, or at least definitely shift how you experience the astrology and put you in a more clear position to use the positive energies while softening and mitigating some of the challenging transits. Okay, so October 8th, we've got Venus in Virgo square Saturn in Sagittarius. So pressure is put on finances and relationships and likely self-esteem. Whenever Saturn is in a challenging angle to a planet, the pressure and stress is they're the key words that come along with this. And since Venus rules love, beauty, self-esteem, money, some pressure will come there. Then we have on October 9th, Mercury and the Sun together, okay, and in Libra, and those are both squaring Pluto. So again, when you have a square, this is a challenging angle. This can be stressful. So negativity and suspicions could run high now. There could be an antagonistic force coming towards you, or it could be an internal source, which usually it is under the guise of an external force. But very often, especially when Pluto is involved, there's inner riches to come out. So sometimes we get lazy, and unless we have a bit of pressure, we don't find places within ourselves that are waiting to be revealed. So this could be a little pressure, this could be a little stress, but you also could find some hidden riches from that. On October 10th, this Jupiter entering Scorpio that I spent some time talking about before. So this is going to last for around a year. Jupiter transits are around a year. On October 11th, we've got Mars squaring Saturn in Sag. So you notice the trend here. Obviously, Mars and Venus are close together. And so Mars will make an aspect, and then Venus will make an aspect. So now here we have Mars making this this square to Saturn after Venus already made the square. So this is, you know, whenever Saturn's involved, there's usually like some sort of older or allegedly wiser or more established energy, or someone who happens to have the say, even if they're not older or wiser, you know, a Saturnian force that's working against your movement. Mars represents movement. Trying to be a perfectionist at this point might be harder now. So just kind of feel into that, because flexibility might be able to push you through this transit a little bit better. October 12th, we have Mercury and Saturn in a nice angle. So this is good for concentrating and figuring out solutions. So if you have anything come up from the previous transit with Mars and Saturn, then this could be assistive to you. October 15th, we have Mercury in Libra opposing Uranus in Aries. Whenever the planet of communication is opposing this random, erratic, or seemingly random and erratic force of Uranus, you know, it definitely increases nervous tension. So using all of your tools to support your adrenals, to keep yourself balanced now, because there's going to be a tendency to rush into things, into agreements. And it's not the best thing to rush in. If you're feeling very nervous, you have to make a decision, then you might be better off not making the decision if you can help it, because making it from this stressed place could have annoying repercussions. So on the 16th, we've got the Sun in Libra making a nice angle to Saturn. So this can bring a burst of support or respect from someone in charge or someone who you admire. October 18th, we have Mercury in Scorpio making a conjunction to Jupiter in Scorpio. So we talked about, and I'll mention again, this Sun in Scorpio conjunct Jupiter in Scorpio aspect on the 26th. Mercury coming and joining with Jupiter also carries good luck and also carries positive energy and good news. It's one of the typical transits of good news. So that's happening. And then on October 19th, we have the new moon at 26 degrees of Libra. Whenever there's a new moon, there are new open possibilities, and you make your 10 new moon wishes now on the subjects of Libra. So anything about partnerships or relationships of any kind, diplomatic communications, anything about trying to resolve, find a win-win solution, work together on a project, anything. And of course, not coincidentally that I'm mentioning this, Libra rules the adrenals. So this is all of the Libra energy this month is really assistive, and I would think it's a good idea to make one of your wishes. Please help me to really support my adrenals and keep them in a balanced state, you know, or better yet, say thank you for my perfectly functioning adrenals. And then you feel that as if it's true. You know, you feel yourself being emotionally balanced and mentally clear. I have a video that talks about using astrological power periods, how you can most use those energies. So if you just search for Making Wishes Annie anywhere on the internet, I'm pretty sure that comes up. If not, you can find it on my channel. So on October 24th, we've got another sweet aspect with Mercury trining Neptune. So this is a sweet, dreamy aspect. It's really good for romantic or artistic or personal, quiet, spiritual ventures. The 26th, we have that Scorpio, that Sun in Scorpio conjunct Jupiter, which can bring lots of luck. On the 27th, we've got Venus in Libra squaring Pluto in Capricorn. So some challenges could come here, even though we've got a lucky energy the day before. So this is what I mean about these, dueling energies. We never know which energies are going to be more present when. So you just have to tune into your personal situation. And so the Venus square Pluto can bring this surfacing of deep issues regarding power, regarding control, especially as it relates to love and money and self-esteem. So it's not usually the best time to act on strong feelings, because you'll have a lot of, tension in your solar plexus. That's our control center, our third chakra. So this type of aspect usually brings up something that gets us tight in there. So always, of course, making a decision from that space isn't usually the best thing to do, but doing inner work or seeking other psychological support for the issue is very good at this time. And on the same day, we have another nice aspect, which is, and I don't want to say that the challenging aspects aren't nice. I just mean, we feel them they make us feel bad sometimes, but sometimes the feeling bad can be productive, and so they can turn out to be nice, but you know, that wouldn't be the first word we'd use to describe them. Whereas this Mercury in Scorpio making a nice angle to Pluto in Capricorn, this is something that can bring answers to deep questions, powerful breakthroughs, and intentionally using this energy for meditation and integration will go a very long way. So you can also have clear understanding of long-standing dynamics that involve relationships with people and money. So these are the things that are most on my mind for the general transits for the month of October. Definitely look at my website for a new offering I'm going to have available very soon, a new school that I'm starting. Also check out my Shine Your Brilliance Vocational University, where I have my coach training, my online business course training. I have my astrology apprenticeship program, so you can see if there are still slots in those, and also check out my Train Your Brain subliminal bundles, where you can be shifting your neurological patterning as you listen to nice, relaxing outside sounds. And if you'd like to see more about what's up for you for the month for you, for your sign, check out my husband B.R. Newman's Horoscopes, and you can look him up under B.R. Newman, Neumann, or see them at imhelios.com. You can check out my website and all of my offerings at anniehelpsyou.com. Definitely sign up for my free email newsletter and get your written version of the general transits out. Also, other things come along with that sometimes. And I hope you have a wonderful month, and I'll see you next month.